Any moment. Any moment. Any moment. We do have to close the other one. We're still on the other one. We will begin tonight by taking a motion to adjourn our special session, and then we'll begin our 7 o'clock.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, special session adjourned. Now, here we go. I'm going to call the 7 o'clock meeting to order. Love procedure. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Fitzgerald,
Gotta be seated.
Councilmember Roberts,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Stokes,
Here.
Councilmember Graves,
Present.
Councilmember Saper,
Here.
and Councilmember Tull. Here.
And now you got through 3. That was short-term memory loss.
No problem. I would like to call up the Boy Scouts from Troop 1354 to lead us in the
Oh,
Pledge of Allegiance.
1354. I missed the 1. All right, there we go. Whenever you guys are ready, please. Make sure you're on. You're on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, thank you. Troop 1354. Next up is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Hang tight. Councilmember Graves.
Could I pull item number 11, please, from the consent agenda?
Item number
discussion?
11 will be pulled and considered first on the regular agenda. Other items, other numbers. All right, is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Move to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed? No. Motion carries. The one I always get. Comments from the public. Oh, we got. We're gonna let Cheryl lead off tonight. We got a special guest here. I saw a lot of people jumping up. It's gonna be a good night.
Good evening, Mayor Long and members of the City Council. My name is Cheryl Morgan. I'm the City Clerk for the City of Blue Springs. And I'm here on behalf of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association tonight to recognize your City Clerk, Crystal Doss, for earning her Missouri Registered City Clerk Sustaining Classification. As you know, prior to joining the City of North Kansas City, Crystal worked for the City of Richmond as a city clerk. Crystal was hired with North Kansas City as a Public Works Administrative Assistant and Deputy City Clerk and was promoted to the City Clerk in 2014. After attending many hours of educational sessions over the next several years, Crystal earned a Missouri Registered City Clerk Sustaining Certification from the State Association in November of 2022. In addition to the education hours, the MRCC Sustaining Certification also requires a minimum experience level and professional contribution hours, which Crystal has obtained. Crystal has served in all 4 officer positions of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Western Division. She is serving, which served the greater Kansas City area. She also served as the State Association Education Committee co-chair of the Membership Committee, Oversight Committee, and Budget Committee. Also, your City Clerk, Crystal, has worked very hard to obtain the MRCC Sustaining Certification. She is to be commended for her perseverance, because I can't say many enough when they talk about the training hours that are required for this, for achieving this goal. Additionally, you as elected officials should be commended for your commitment and your continued support of your staff, including Crystal, as they continue to work towards their professional development. It clearly demonstrates that you recognize the knowledge that your staff receives and that Crystal receives at the state and local educational sessions is of great benefit to you, other city staff, and to your citizens. Knowing the importance of promoting the general welfare of your city's governmental operations, Crystal will continue to strive toward performing services that best meet the interests and needs of the public as efficiently and effectively as possible, always implementing best practices used in the operation of municipal government while incorporating all that she has learned through the City Clerks Association over the years. Crystal believes that education is the key to serving as the best city clerk she can be, so her educational journey has not ended with this certification. She plans to continue working towards the Missouri Professional City Clerks Association over the next 2 years. I'd like to congratulate Crystal for her hard-earned achievement of her Missouri Registered City Clerk Sustaining Certification as she continues her commitment to lifelong learning throughout her career as city clerk.
You should note she wouldn't even add it to her own agenda, though. We had to get you in public comments here.
I know.
You already got your certification, right? Is that already on your wall now? Is that on?
No, I get it at the MML,
At the MML.
at the MML.
Oh, perfect. Oh, we'll get to do it all again.
Yes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you, Crystal, for everything you do. All right. Up next, the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. See, I knew it was going to be a hot night. I saw several people getting ready to stand up, and I still tried to skip it. Liz Ryan, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here kind of begging for your support regarding this sales tax for the Parks and Rec, and I'm pleading with you to not put the marijuana on the April ballot, because I think it will be a hindrance to us, because several of us have been politicking, going door to door when we pass the last levy, and it's confusing. They see two things on there, wham, bam, which one we're going to vote for. And this is very important to us. And I'm not against the marijuana tax, believe me, I'm for it. But I think, and when we put this on the ballot, you're going to have to be very explicit, education, whatever, because it's going to be tough to pass this. And the Park Board, we're a very active board, and we do participate. We believe when you're on a park board, you earn it, you work it, and you're involved. And we are going to do our best to go everywhere to do it. I know that you can't, but you can provide educational for us. And you realize that the park board has had two bad blunts with funds. One was a Blankenship in Hancock.
Yes, Hancock is annual, but they were hit as well as the libraries by the Blankenship decision.
Yeah, and plus the fact is, we just had the surtax, which has taken, I think, about $125,000 out of our budget. And we have a lot of things we have to do. We're known everywhere of a fantastic park that we are. I was at a meeting the other day, and they asked who you were, and they said, "You belong to the park board?" And I said, "Proudly I do." There was somebody from Leavenworth, there was someone from Smithfield, Lee Summit, and Blue Springs, I think, or Independence. And you know what? I was pretty happy. I was busting my bubbits that they think about us the way they do. And I think, Mr. Sapers, you have come to see all the work that we do and how we participate. And we really need this money because we can, our seniors, the thrill they have coming and someplace to go with the economy the way it is. And I was at to a movie. We have 2 movies a week. The people that come there that are just thrilled that they have someplace to go. And I just really would wish that you would join us on this journey. It's very important to me. I live the park board. I'm there twice a week to see my seniors. I love going on the trips with them. And I just wanted to keep going because with this new project going on, it's going to be taking part of the park board staff to help River Forest. And so I really want you guys to consider pulling that off of the agenda and for the ballot and put it in for November. I hope that you will join this journey with us. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, public comment. Now I'm done refereeing now. Does anyone come up with? Good evening.
Good evening. Name's Kellen Mumm. I'm with Chicken and Pickle. Thank you, Mayor, Council, everyone in the city. Appreciate everyone's hard work. Many, since 6-7 years ago when we first opened. Just want to share my appreciation while I'm here. But I wanted to come tonight and just bring to attention to make sure everyone is fully aware, as we, Chicken and Pickle, were very surprised at the latest site plan that came out for the new Genesis Health Club over in the One North that came out, which is in city subsidized area through TIF, and they have Chapter 100. So it is, you know, in that sense, city subsidized. Just the fact that the new design seems to have come out of nowhere, at least to us, was a bit of a shock. So with everything that Chicken and Pickle and other entertainment facilities here in downtown. We've really focused on revitalizing this downtown, and I think it's obviously come a long way. I just want everyone to be aware of what's coming to One North if that were to go through the way it's drawn. So nothing more there, but thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming this evening.
In case people don't know
All right.
how it was drawn, I don't think you actually said it,
Oh.
just for,
So the latest plan I brought here, I can pass it around, has some indoor and outdoor pickleball courts, a yard for yard games, a small restaurant and bar, along with some volleyball courts, and their health club along with that. So,
There we go. Thank you.
yeah,
Have a good evening.
yep.
All right, further public comments. Nothing from Troop 1354? No, I got a note.
Hello,
Good
good
evening.
evening. City Council, Mayor, citizens. North Kansas City is a great city. What defines us in part are the Kansas City Chiefs. They've given us prominence. They say that New York City is a city that never sleeps, but North Kansas City never sleeps. We have Quick Trip. We have McDonald's. We have Burger King. We have Conoco. In our own right, we never sleep. We have some of the best schools in the state of Missouri right here in North Kansas City. Let's keep going with that legacy of greatness. We are great, but we can be greater. Let's think about our presidents. Let's think about George Washington. Let's think about Bill Clinton, Abraham Lincoln, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, George H.W. Bush. All were great in their own right, Barack Obama. Let's keep greatness first and foremost in our minds and hearts for North Kansas City every day. Our schools are just a stepping stone. Let's get a solid university in North Kansas City. Let's get one here, where an accredited university is recognized nationally and internationally as being their home campus in North Kansas City. Let's work on that. Let's work on that. Let's have vision. We have good projects on Swift. We have good projects on Armour. Let's look for vision. Let's look 20 years in the future and beyond. Mayor DeLone, this is your city. You are the man. Make certain everything is done ethically, properly, and decently, and in order. You are the man. Every citizen in NKC is holding Mayor DeLone responsible for the city's success, and he's doing a good job. I follow Facebook, I follow Instagram. He's staying busy. He's interacting with people nationally and internationally. Let's keep that all going. But I want everyone here tonight to think of greatness. Boy Scouts, think of greatness. You can be great. You can sit where Bill Clinton sat. Think of greatness. It all begins right here in North Kansas City. New York is the city that never sleeps, but in our own right, North Kansas City never sleeps. God bless you. Leonard Marshall.
Thank you. Further public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the amended consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the amended consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 11, amendment to professional service agreement, River Forest Park Design and Construction Related Services, resolution number 23004. Wes?
Yeah, you all know
Councilmember
me.
Graves,
I
sorry.
just got some questions.
Yes, please.
The more I started digging into this, the more questions I had. And so I just thought instead of just voting it on the consent agenda, I thought it was worthwhile just to pull off and just have a brief discussion. As you all know, I am not a expert on building parks. So I'm assuming that this company, one thing that's really disturbing to me being on the council is the amount of money that we spend on just services. Basically, these consulting companies, it's astronomical, the amount of money that we spend. Is there a better way to do this? Like this, what's the bill on this? It's an additional $175,000.
Yeah, plus, yeah.
And so for people following at home, this is not to build out the park. This is to get bids. to build the park. Okay, so Kim's shaking her head, so
Well,
please
it's a little bit of
explain.
all. Yeah, if you would just want to further explain.
Yeah, this is like
the process. No, I was pointing
engineering on
Kim,
how to
please.
execute
This is
the,
engineering and permitting. River Forest Park is actually very unique in the fact that some of it is in an FEMA floodplain. There is some very technical documents that need to be procured so that we can get a permit to build in this particular space. We do have Will Metcalf here that is with SWT, but this is the engineering, and it's to make sure that we get the construction documents needed so that when we bid, we have this success of this particular project. Again, this particular project has a lot of unique assets in the fact that some of it is in a floodplain. We do have some water, sewer engineering that needs to be completed so that we can have the documents necessary to go to bid for the construction of this particular park.
do we look at any other professional service companies to provide this engineering or just this one? Because on our memo, it just says staff recommends amending the original SWT design contract, blah, blah, blah. So was this shopped around to other people? Is this a competitive bid? That number is astronomical, just seems huge.
First of all, this is a request for qualifications project. We're prohibited by law from bidding to get bids for professional services, architects, engineers, surveyors, specifically mentioned in the statute. There was a request for qualifications that went out, I don't know, a year or two ago. And there were a number of responses to that. And you do this by the most qualified. They don't submit, here's what my fee is or whatever. And you do it who's the most qualified. The committee that selected them recommended that. The council approved this particular firm. They've been working on it with the city during this time period. And what is very typical is that then you would amend depending on the work that needs to get done, you would amend the contract that you have with them. Not unlike we've recently amended the contract with Burns and McDonnell for down here at the water treatment plant. And yet they had gone through a full, you know what you don't want to do is change horses in midstream. You know, we would not have wanted to bring in an engineering firm to now start to do work down at the water treatment plant after they've been down there for a number of years working on it. So this is common, I mean, and so I don't know how best to explain it. I don't know these people at all, by the way.
How much have we spent with them thus far on the,
You mean
look-
total
The
project
feasibility
so far?
on the
Yeah.
feasibility study, how much was that?
I'm pulling from memory, but it was between $60,000 and $70,000.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it was like 80 is what was
It
in
was
my
for a
memory.
year-long study with multiple public input processes, so that fee covered that entire year's worth of work.
I'm just trying to keep track.
that-
I had
that's-
somebody warn me when I was running for office. Somebody literally was like, one of the things that's going to blow your mind when you're on, if you're on the council is how much money is spent to these firms. And so just for people following along at home, this is $250,000, before you've even started construction on that park. You're looking at about 200, from what you just said, 70 plus 175. You're looking at $250,000. So it's just mind-boggling. Go ahead, Smith.
Councilmember Smith.
So I had two quick questions on this one. I actually considered pulling it myself. But I want to push on that real quick. The RFQ process. I've made it known I'm not a fan of RFQ, but it is the statute. But at what point are we able to push back or negotiate on a number? So if we pick a qualified candidate, as the statute says, and then they say it's going to cost $1 million for us to do this engineering, are we stuck there, or
No.
do we just not approve it and we go back out for RFQ
Right.
again? That's the
And-
process.
Well, we had that, this is pre all of you, but very shortly, we had that with the community center, the architectural firm, the council selected, let's call them Firm A. I negotiated with them. We had a range in our mind of what it should be, the fee should be. We're not required to take, if we thought it was out of line, the council thought it was way out of line. And so then we were able to we cut off totally with them, and we went to firm number 2, and that's who ended up designing, and it was a much lesser fee. But we didn't negotiate fees as such. You cut off the one, and then you're bound to go with someone else. I
Okay.
hope that
Yeah,
explains
that's-
the process.
That's a good explainer. I guess I have no idea, and this is not a pot shot at SWT. You guys did a great feasibility study. Very impressed. I just have no idea what it should cost to engineer a park. So if I'm looking at one number and it's 175, like, I just don't know. Is if we did competitive bid, which we're not allowed to do, would one come in at 75 for a similar? So I just, like, I have no working knowledge of that, and it's hard to approve based on no knowledge.
Can we bring up Will?
Councilmember Roberts. Yes, I'm there.
Having worked in development and engineering specifically in a number of projects, in not an extraordinary situation, I will say it is astronomically expensive to have things, even simple things, engineered. So I would say an entire park in a very special circumstances probably is correct. I will say having things done at my house is thousands of dollars for a room in a house.
Oh, yeah.
So having an entire park for $100 and some thousand,
It may be
So we're
probably
right
correct.
online. I
So,
just don't know.
The total project cost, this reminder's sitting at 2.3 billion is what
I
it
don't
has,
think-
or million. Oh my God, we got the best park in the world for 2.3 billion. 2.3 million. I
think,
Please strike that. Strike that, please. Strike that.
Yeah, we're just turning the whole town into a park.
I just don't, I think like you could go, sure, like try to hopefully save some money somewhere, but you may also end up costing more.
Councilmember Clark, did you have something there?
I mean, I think we could bring Will up in this process. Of course, feasibility study was kind of at the request of the entire city. We know that when we implement projects where people didn't feel like they got enough say, then we lose money just by burning through the arguing period and waiting, and that's happened on the complete streets. So now we're looking at feasibility study just felt like due diligence. So let's set that aside. And now the next step being, hey, you guys already have everybody under the same roof. And yeah, when you do bring another company on, they're like fresh blood. They're like, so tell us what you guys want to see. I mean, they'll see a picture, but I think it would be helpful to have Will come up to maybe like walk through, if that's comfortable, like walk through kind of what that covers, what that looks like.
It is also in the scope in here as well, in case anyone's following along.
But, you know, it's been pulled, so.
In case anyone wants to read the document at some point, it's in.
All right. Yes, I do have a copy of the agreement with me, but again, thank you all for giving us the opportunity to continue working with you. This has been a really fun one, so we're excited to have the opportunity to be involved in helping it come to life. So in terms of the percentage of fee, that's a way that consultants will typically think about the cost of a project based on a construction budget. So in the feasibility study portion, we gave an opinion of cost, and that came out to, as Mayor DeLong said, $2.3 million. Typically, design fees, including engineering, will be about 12% of a project, 10 on the low end. If we look at the number in our agreement here, which is about the $175,000, that's about, I think, 6.5% or 7% of the construction budget. If we add in the cost from the feasibility study, as Councilmember Graves mentioned, we're looking at 9% overall design fees for construction. As was mentioned earlier, there are efficiencies that are gained by sticking with the same horse. The cost in the agreement covers landscape architecture services through construction administration, and then civil engineering services, which will also be provided by SWT. And then we have geotechnical and structural engineering and MEP. So there are 5 services contained within that cost. And that, you know, when you kind of break it down in terms of the standard ballparking, I know it's coming from me, but if you look out and across the industry, that 12% number, including engineering services, is about typical. And as was mentioned before, there are a number of very technical constraints with the site, including the floodplain and the levee. So this proposal or this agreement contains scope that includes doing the studies and permitting necessary with the Army Corps for the floodplain and the North Kansas City Levee District. And we've already had a few conversations with them during the course of the feasibility study to vet the initial concepts, but we still need to do all of the calculations and permitting that come along with that. Combined, the geotechnical investigation and permitting with the floodplain and levee we've estimated to be about 8.5 months of this process. So just to kind of explain a little bit further what that fee includes, if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Did you have a follow on there? Okay, Councilmember Smith.
No, thank you very much. That's great. And like I say, I'm not questioning your fee. It's probably well within the line of where it should be. I'm more process oriented, so thank you for that.
Yep.
I do have one other question on the overarching piece. So I know we approved a budget number to get the ball rolling. My concern is, so we're on the cusp of hearing about these grants we've applied for. Without knowing what we're going to get, will that inform the scope of the park? Because we've got, if I remember correctly, there's multiple renderings of how it could be up here and then bigger and then bigger and bigger. If we're going to get the full, what's the total of the grants we've applied for?
So one of the grants is for $500,000, another one is 1.25.
Okay. So if we end up
they're
with,
separate,
Right.
and they are reimbursement.
okay, so if we end up with being approved for those grants, as I understood it, we would be able to, cut loose a little more and build a larger park. Are we still planning to build out a full scope park regardless of grants, and then just kind of back into how we pay for it?
Correct. Yes, so
Okay.
both Phase 1 and Phase 2, and if the council remembers, we had that dialogue with the Parks Board, that really there is no money saved in parsing it out because you'll pay the same mobilization fee, as well as some of the things we have learned over the last several years. When you wait, you pay. So that was kind of influencing some of the conversation when the city council kind of went with Phase 1 and Phase 2 and to combine it for efficiency's sake. So that $2.5 million is Phase 1 and Phase 2. Again, this way we're not having to pay two mobilization fees as well as disrupt the neighbors in that area. Construction costs are only going one way, and that project will never be cheaper than at the moment.
Sure. I guess where I'm at is, I've always thought of it as if we get the big grants, we could, really dig in and build out a larger park. If not, then we might scale it back a little bit, and we wouldn't be over, like engineering for something that we can't afford to build or shouldn't afford to build. But if the will of the council is to go ahead with the full $2.5 million, then I'm obviously not going to stand in the way.
That's what it was at the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've
that's already been decided.
I understood it was passed as a plug figure, and that was a full-blown misunderstanding on my part, and I'll own that one. So, go ahead.
Further conversation. Is there a motion to approve this? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Gray.
I got one other question. I'm looking at the project timeline, and so this isn't going to be constructed until when? Actual construction, like after next fall?
So we are planning to have construction documents done by this September, and then we would move into the construction services portion of the agreement, which would include bidding and negotiation. And I apologize, I misspoke earlier about the time frame for some of the other permitting. That's 4.5 months. I had something else floating in my head. But and from that point on, we would be looking at November 2024 for a conclusion of the construction phase services. And part of that in the construction document phase is that we've got the levy district review and no rise review, which is part of the conversations that we're going to be having. Is you can think of it as incorporated with the civil engineering portion of the agreement.
So in human terms, park it won't be open prior to November 2024 at the earliest?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm really torn on this, like just talking openly with the council. When I first started discussing River Forest Park, I was all in favor of it. I remember specifically saying that if this park got out of control, and the number I threw out at that time was, I said, if this ends up being $1 million park, then I'm going to go from being for it to being against it. And it's currently at $2.5 million, over $200,000 with which just goes into, planning and engineering. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, $600,000 of this is basically a restroom / building. there's like a $600,000 building that was part of the $2.3 million price tag.
I didn't bring the
Are
whole.
you talking about the parking lot?
No.
I know
What was the
what a parking
restroom,
lot
what
is.
was the restroom cost? Does someone else remember?
It's around there, and that was some of
That
the
was
things. So
600,000.
in this particular scope of work, I mean, we have percentage drawings. So if the governing body is wanting some progress along the way or say along the way, we have that kind of built out through here. The thought was to design it 100%, and should we not have everything, we can scale it back from there. But when you're running water lines, it's good to run the water lines for your final. Again, knowing that construction is never going to be cheaper, ever, than it is right now.
Yeah, so you made a good point. That was my point about the $600,000 restroom at that time was I don't want water lines at this park. You know, I was just talking to Liz Ryan the other day, and they just had broken water lines, you know, over here at, I don't know if it was Dagger or Mackin Park. Once you have water lines and restrooms, then you have more maintenance, you have more things that break. You know, people that live back there, you might have people in the restrooms at weird times of day, things like that, things that, you know, unmentionables happening in the restrooms. I'm really torn on this, you guys, because on the one hand, I want to build out River Forest Park. I think it's the right thing to do for people in Ward 4. But on the other hand, I feel like the cost is spiraled, just gotten completely out of control. And if I vote in favor of this, which I probably will, the only way I'm doing that is to go ahead with the engineering to try to scale everything back once it's engineered, because I think the cost is out of control. And so that's it for me.
All right, other comments? Is there a motion on the resolution?
I move to approve.
Second.
Further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Number 15, recreational marijuana sales tax ordinance, bill number 7736, ordinance number 9533.
Now, what I didn't write down is who I'm going to call on, so I'm going to pick on Kim here. Kim, is this yours? Please.
I am pinch hitting. At the last city council meeting, we had discussed if the city council would like to place the adult use marijuana sales tax on the upcoming April ballot. The city council had directed staff to bring forward the authorizing documents at their next meeting, which is this meeting right here. And before you would be the ordinance required to place that question on the April ballot.
Councilmember Clark.
After sitting through the, Parks Board meeting, and I'm back. I don't know. Maybe I'll borrow Katie's. There was just discussion, obviously concern. I'm for the tax, but I get where we don't want to muddy the waters, and I think of this tax, of any of them, the benefit to putting it off could be that maybe more people are attracted to our one location to buy marijuana. And it can also be voted on later at a later date. This isn't one of those things where it's like it's got to happen now or it's never going to happen again. And I think if that helps parks get their tax passed, so be it. I mean, I'm all for that.
There we go. I think I saw Councilmember Stokes. Okay.
I was going to say the same comments as Councilman Clark. I also support the Parks Board, and I want the pass of that tax.
Thank you, Councilmember Roberts.
Concur. We're still getting a sales tax out of this. This is just an additional sales tax, so it's good for us anyways.
Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, the parks tax is roughly $800,000 annually, is that right?
Yeah.
The 0.25%?
Those are rough numbers.
Rough estimate.
Those are rough numbers. We do have, and I'm going to call on Nick we have gotten some information that a House bill that was passed last year will impact our sales tax projections. That's something that we are kind of getting our arms around. It would also impact should the park sales tax go forward. Not by a lot, but I would imagine, I think, Nick, you were saying perhaps $50,000 off of that. So projection would be about $750,000 rough to mate for the park sales tax. Again, that was something that was passed by the state legislature last year.
Looks like you covered it pretty well. You sat back down.
I think for what we are, and again, please understand these things, this is why we use the words estimate. We know that everybody kind of gets a little bit grumpy when we use the word estimate. When other governing bodies make decisions, it does impact our revenue threads, which is why we're always sketchy when we talk about estimated revenue. So from the city perspective, we are estimating a $200,000 revenue loss from that particular House bill that happened that goes to our revenue fund. And from the numbers that we had quoted back before when the initial park sales tax was being contemplated, we had guesstimated 600,000. We'd probably feel more comfortable at 750 now.
Okay, so 750, and then the estimate on the marijuana was 60,000? 60, 80,000. So 10x multiplier, it seems like if there's any risk, I understand muddying the waters. Plus, we get to rug pull the 3% discount, lure them in. Let's go. Yeah, I would.
Marijuana capital, Kansas City.
Yeah, I would
All right,
hold off.
Further councilmember comments, Councilmember Graves.
Yes, so a couple things that haven't been touched on. I am in favor of putting it on the fall ballot. It's a 3% tax, just to avoid any confusion. It's non-applicable to medicinal users. They will not pay it. Also, I mentioned this in the work session, but people, if you weren't watching, I think that we as a council should put this on an agenda or something and discuss actually designating the funds. I would still vote for it if it was undesignated and just went into the general fund, but I think that it makes more sense from a community standpoint in designating this towards some sort of a charitable organization, whether it be homelessness or child or adult care or something along those lines. And then also one other thing I wanted to clear up, the previous meeting, I was talking about how we only have one dispensary here in Northtown. And when medical marijuana was passed years ago, the state had a limited number of dispensaries that were licensed. And we, in North Kansas City, only have one dispensary. Now, double check me on this, because I'm often, talking out my you-know-what, but I just read in a news, article that the state is actually looking into increasing the number of dispensaries. They might give out more permits. So I have had people in our community that are concerned with possibly more dispensaries popping up, and I said before that I wasn't concerned about that, and it might actually be a real concern. So I just want that to be on people's radar, that potentially we might have more than one dispensary. So that's it.
Perfect, thank you. Further comments? Is there, Councilmember Toll?
I support the tax, but I agree we can save it for fall. So it's not something that has to happen right now.
All right, further
Would we
comments?
table this, or would we vote it down and
No,
bring
here,
it back?
further comments? Is there a motion for first reading? No motion,
moved.
item dies, Item dies for lack of a motion, next item, please. Throwing me off there, I thought she was going for it.
Number 16, an ordinance approving a contract with Judge Fuller, Bill number 7737, ordinance number 9534.
All right, here, I'll take this one. The municipal judge, his contract is up, but there's also, you are age limited on how long you can be judged. So he turns 75 this year, so this contract will cover a shorter period just to cover up to then. I have already interviewed, assuming this passes, and at a future meeting we'll bring forward a contract for the new judge, which I intend to appoint Anthony Bologna for that position as well. So should this approve, that'll come on to a next agenda. He's our prosecutor, so then we will have to approve a contract for a new prosecutor and find a new prosecutor as well. So a lot of pieces, so I'm trying to wrap a lot of this stuff up early because there's a lot of moving parts going forward.
First reading.
First reading?
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
I was broken.
An ordinance approving appointment of Stephen R. Fuller as municipal judge for an abbreviated term and adopting a contract by and between the city of North Kansas City, Missouri and Stephen R. Fuller for professional legal services to serve as municipal judge of the city.
I move that bill number 7737 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9534.
Second.
Like I said, I didn't ask last time for the councilmember comments. Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
An ordinance approving appointment of Stephen R. Fuller as municipal judge for an abbreviated term and adopting a contract by and between the city of North Kansas City, Missouri and Stephen R. Fuller for professional legal services to serve as municipal judge of the city.
All right, so it looks like I'll take the next item as well. No, I won't. Yes, I will. Council Board Liaisons, correct?
Oh, yes.
You were looking at me like I was wrong there.
No, you're right. I'm
Thank
wrong.
you. Usually I'm in the wrong, so.
I was wrong.
Okay. That's a rare one for me. Thank you. Council board liaisons, right now there's an EIC opening for liaison due to Councilmember Anna Palumbi resigning from council. And with that, I figured that'd open up to council for discussion because several people may shuffle in the process. So, Councilmember Toll.
I would like to nominate Councilmember Clark for the Equity and Inclusion Committee position. I know she's on a board that I think she'd be willing to step down from. She has some great ideas on how to move us from our planning steps to our action steps. So would you accept the nomination if you were nominated?
I would.
Okay, so obviously starting EIC here, we have an EIC nomination and acceptance of the nomination as I laid out. Then we'll vote by name. Further nominations for EIC liaison.
Question, technicality, if she accepts and is voted in, do we now have to go?
She doesn't have to, but I think she would like to.
What?
I think his finishing question was, then
Do
we
we-
would now have to
The
vote.
Parks Board?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you wouldn't unless you resign. You got to resign from that position first, right?
Right. Well, I think they meet at the same time. I think there's no choice.
There we go. So we're going to be forced into that.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I was asking.
Semantics.
Okay. But that's not automatic.
Yeah.
Maybe she can
Good.
do two places.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I thought I saw a hand. Did you have a?
I had a question, but
Please.
I didn't want to go off topic. It's kind of related, kind of not. I'm kind of concerned about all the vacancies on the EIC. Are we still like half vacant on the EIC? What's the
too.
update on that? I just checked the website and it looked like we have 4 vacancies.
Who's my board? Where are we at here? We at 5 of 8 now? I believe there's 2 missing in Ward 3, 1 missing in Ward 4. Ward 4, there's 0 applications. Ward 3, I believe there's 0 applications.
We also have 1 moving in our ward. One of the people are moving.
Who's, which?
Saper's person is moving away.
Okay, got it.
How are they able to function? I mean, I really don't know.
They're
Like,
struggling when you get that low in numbers. Obviously, you miss one person for illness or anything else go on in life, then yeah, you can't meet. That has been a little bit of a struggle. So I don't know if we need to do more outreach on that, or whether we need to look at modifying the rules to have more at-large seats. There's another idea kicked around is maybe going a half in district, half at large. I was kind of struggling mentally on how I would actually, designate who gets the at-large versus in district. But it's been a struggle since the very beginning to actually get 2 for Ward 4. And then right now, it's a struggle in Ward 3. So now I have total applications that exceed the board amount, but they're just not in those wards.
Doesn't it seem like there's something, I don't know, I'm just talking out loud here. It just seems like there's something fundamentally going on that's wrong with the EIC right now if we have half of it is vacant. Like, I feel like we're just kind of avoiding that topic. And I mean, maybe that's something that whoever our new liaison needs to address, because I mean, if we can't even get people to apply to the EIC, then I mean, what are they doing at this point?
Certainly, I think there's possible education opportunity there to continue to get the word out and what's going on, and also inform people. It is still, although a couple years old, a newer board that people just aren't as familiar with still. Did you have Councilman?
In talking to some of those that have sat on it, I've noticed that there's just some conflict resolution that needs to occur.
Yeah.
I think a kind of mending of comments and things like that. That's kind of missing. It's like a big key piece that's missing is the communication factor. So I'm hoping to insert some sort of let's come together. This is how, if we represent nothing, let's represent how we interact with people that don't agree with how we see the world.
Yeah. And I certainly recognize there's some things going on there, so I do have another meeting scheduled, sometime this week with the chair, and then my appointment as well, to see if we can find a good path going forward, is the goal. Including passing a strategic plan, something to work towards. That would be good. So, a few things there. All right, so what we have on right now is a nomination and an acceptance of nomination for EIC for Councilmember Clark. So what I'll do with that is since no other nominations, I'll just go yes and no there. All in favor, please say yes.
Just to clarify though, did she step down from Parks? Because
She will probably right after this. I heard mostly yeses, opposed.
I'm a no then. If she's
Okay,
not
opposed,
resigned.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what would you like to do now? Now you are nominated EIC.
I am happy to resign.
All right, now we have
from
an
the
opening on the Parks Board.
I'm not happy to do it, but
Whoa.
I'm.
I was very sad when I came off of it.
I love my time on the Parks Board. I just welcome the opportunity to try to make something happen with the EIC. And yeah, and I've talked with the Parks Board. They were happy to see me go. No. No, we had a good meeting, and I want to believe that it's so temporary that somehow I'm going to carve out some sort of opportunity to exist in that space again. But are we? So what
now
just
I will
happened
take
there?
nominations where we
Yes.
are right now.
But I would also, in talking to the Parks Board, would like to nominate Katie,
Okay, that's where.
Councilmember Stokes,
Okay, would you
to
accept
the
that
Parks
nomination
Board.
there?
Second.
I would feel honored.
Okay, perfect. Are there further nominations for Park Liaison? Seeing none, we'll do the same thing. Just vote yes or no, Councilmember Stokes for Park
Yes.
Liaison. Yeah, all in favor, yes.
Yes.
We're kind of out of order there. Yes. Opposed, no. There we go. We'll say the motion carries. Sounded close enough.
Okay.
Next item, please. Right, is there further? Please, go ahead.
A question about liaisons right now.
Yeah.
Do we currently have a liaison for the Crummett Foundation?
That's, I sit on it. I don't know.
Oh, you sit on it?
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay. There we go. Now I got
Number
lost my other
18,
crystal, please.
approving accounts due and payable by the city through January 13th, 2023. Bill number 7738, ordinance number 9535.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through January 13th, 2023.
I move that Bill number 7738 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9535.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald? Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Tull?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through January 13th, 2023. And then I'll say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye. Number 18 and a half, staff comments. It wasn't on the agenda. I got to add it somewhere.
I would like to call on Chief Hargis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I put some, a paper up on the dais for you guys earlier. Just wanted to give you an update on the difference in the calls over the past year, 2021 as compared to 2022. We had an overall increase of 5.1% over that, which was 129 additional calls from the previous year. And most of those additional calls were the rescue and emergency services, and some false alarms and hazardous conditions, which was responses to natural gas leaks and down power lines. And historically, I kind of went back from 2020 to 2022, there's an increase in call volume of 23.8%. And then from 2010 to 2022, we've seen an increase in our call volume of 58.3%. So just to let you know where those numbers are going with the additional people that are coming to town with our new apartment complexes, it's probably going to continue to rise from there. So, and we've maintained that same staff in 2010 as we have now. So we're still continuing to do that.
I'm going to ask you, can you expand on one stat for me here? It seems like it should be straightforward, but false alarm and false call, what would you?
Those are automatic alarms to buildings, typically. When somebody's fire alarm goes off, we get called, we respond, it turns out to be a false alarm.
So you,
those
you
are-
still got to clear the building of some sort and figure out.
It
what is.
depends on the type of
Okay.
alarm. Sometimes it's water flowing, like a few weeks ago, we had probably 30 of these in one weekend when everything thawed out from the freeze. The sprinkler system pipes would unfreeze, start flowing, it set the alarms off. We'd have to go shut down the sprinkler systems and that type of thing.
Okay, fantastic. Councilmember Saper.
Yeah. What is good intent call?
Good intent calls are dispatch and we get canceled en route. No incident, we get called to a grass fire, we get there, there's no grass fire. We get called on somebody that needs help, we get there, there's nobody there. Smoke scare, unauthorized burning, we get called an EMS call and the family's taking them to the hospital in their personal car. Those are the good intent calls.
Thank you.
Nope. Further comments? All right. Next up on staff deck here.
I would
Shu.
like to call
Yeah.
on Shu.
Yes, it was.
Good evening, Mayor and Council Member. This is the only comment I have for tonight. We have launched our online survey for our short-term rental for dwelling units. So We are going to hand out some flyers with the QR code, and so people can scan in, and it's also available on our website under Community Development. So this is, as we promised, from the work session will be our next step to move on for public engagement piece before we can start drafting the ordinance amendment. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anthony.
He's not on the list.
You got something good happening? Yikes. We gotta work on that public works.
I just have a few things. The upcoming items of note is in your packet. Today, we did receive the electric bikes from Bike Walk KC, so I hope that everybody has a chance to kind of go out. You will see them out and about. There are 30 of them, and they are electric assist, so you have no problem scooting around town on those. I would like to thank Cheryl Morgan for coming down and congratulate Crystal Doss for her accomplishment. That really is a yeoman's work. I have walked past their sessions, and they are beefy. So I do appreciate the amount of time that this organization has allowed and invested in our staff. We do appreciate that. That's what helps make us better. That's what helps bring our expertise up to where really this community would like it to be. So we do appreciate the time and investment that the organization makes within its staff. I would also like to thank my Troop 1354 for leading off the Pledge of Allegiance. They are here, those two scouts that are in the back, they are going through 2 merit badges right now, Citizenship in the Nation and Citizenship in the Community, and our very own mayor said that it was his experience through scouting which inspired him to do public service. So
My first council meeting was sitting on that side doing the same thing, listening about street lights and how long they could leave baseball lights on and trees. Riveting stuff that brought me back.
So we do appreciate you guys allowing them to lead off by the Pledge of Allegiance. After all, a lot of the work that we do is for that generation and the generations behind them. So that's all that we have from our side.
I just want to make sure it's entered in the minutes that Crystal got the award. Do I need to make a motion on that to make her do it? Okay, we'll go around the horn here. Councilmember Smith.
All right, I want to say thanks for the folks who came out and made public comments. Those do make a difference, and I will respond to the one that Kellen made about the site plan for the Genesis Health Club in 1 North. To clarify, that was not a change in site plan that council was made aware of before we saw it. And I will state publicly that I am not in favor of the change that was made to include pickleball and yard games that is a direct competitor to one of our prime businesses in town. I'll say it right now. I'm not a favor of that change. I liked the way it was before. Additionally, we've gone through the compensation study for staff, and within that embedded there was also compensation numbers for mayor and council. I'd like to see that revisited and discussed on a future agenda.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Congrats to Crystal on the award, and that's all I have.
There we go. Councilmember Roberts.
You're going to regret not saying congrats to Crystal, bro. Okay. Not publicly. Yeah, I'll piggyback on the chicken and pickle comment from earlier. I am never for any incentive that's going to be hurtful to our local business community, and this would have been stopped in its tracks had we ever known that this was in the site plans. And yeah, hard no on the pickleball and yard games for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark.
Thanks for all the work that's going into River Forest Park. Thanks for all the consideration. I know it's a tough pill to swallow. Almost every project that comes in front of most of us is way more expensive than we ever dreamed, and numbers we've never seen in our lives. Certainly never seen that number in my bank account. Let's see. Yes, Crystal, you're the best. Congrats. It was great to hear so much about you. And what else? Where is it? Yeah, Troop 1354. Great job. Keep doing great things. Like Leonard Marshall said, be great. Choose greatness. Thank you for that. I forgot what else I was going to say, but I'll leave.
Perfect. Councilmember Stokes.
Super excited to be back part of the Parks Board, and I hope I can be a good liaison for them. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Graves.
All right, so congratulations, Crystal. Great job, Scouts. Leonard Marshall, I'm a huge WWF wrestler fan. I still call it WWF. And if I was a wrestler, I would want you to be my manager, like my hype man in the corner. And regarding 1 North, Genesis Health Club, just thinking out loud here, we have Old Chicago Pizza, which is a bar that serves pizza across the street from Helen's in direct competition. Helen's has been here for decades. I've been drinking there since my fake ID days. And then Liz, thank you very much for your comments. I do always appreciate your perspective. You do a lot for the city. And I wasn't really concerned about the tax, but you were. And so you changed my mind on that. So thank you.
Councilmember Saper.
Kudos to you, Crystal. It seems to me that we shouldn't be in the position of trying to be a protective association for particular business. And I wish we had known about the change in plans, about the pickleball courts at 1 North, but the fact that there's competition, businesses have to deal with that. And I don't feel comfortable being in a protective association for one particular business.
Thank you, Councilmember Toll.
I'll start off by saying a congratulations to Crystal, and your dedication to professional development and to this city comes as no surprise to anybody up here, because you keep the ship going. Like you've helped all of us many, many, many times. So we're very proud of you. I would also like to say I second everything that my Ward 2 partner said about the plans, because it is a change to what we thought was going in there, and it is being subsidized by us. So I too am against the changes that we have coming in with the pickleball courts, and would like to see what we could do about that. And Liz, Ryan, I am for the tax, but you convinced me it's right. We don't have to do it right now. There's no reason why we can't do it in the fall. So thank you for speaking. I appreciate that. I appreciate your comments. And thank you for leading us in the pledge to our Boy Scout troops. It's always way more fun when we have somebody come in and be our guest leaders. So thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you again, Troop 1354, for leading us off and starting the meeting off strong there. Congratulations, Crystal, the Super Clerk Award, because I don't remember the title. It always works. Super Clerk, I give it to her every day. I'm sorry, she's my favorite city clerk. I got to let her know all the time. I know it's weird having another city clerk in the room when I say it now, but she's my favorite city clerk and will be. Thank you, Sheriff, for coming and presenting that as well. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn, I believe, unless Crystal tells me there's something left.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. We are adjourned.